Have you ever stood at the edge of a moment, feeling the weight of anticipation without knowing exactly why? That peculiar sensation when your entire being seems to vibrate with awareness, as though every cell in your body recognizes that change is approaching, even before your conscious mind can name it. These are not mere fantasies or wishful thinking. They are the profound communications between your deepest self and the vast intelligence of existence itself. Carl Jung, one of the most revolutionary thinkers in psychology, dedicated his life to understanding these mysterious connections between our inner world and the external reality we inhabit. Jung proposed that we are never truly disconnected from the larger patterns of existence. Our psyche, that magnificent architecture of consciousness and unconsciousness, constantly receives and transmits information in ways that transcend ordinary logic. When transformation approaches, when something genuinely beneficial is moving toward us, our entire system begins to resonate with this incoming reality. But here lies the challenge. Most of us have forgotten how to read these signals. We've been conditioned to trust only what we can see, measure, and rationally explain. We've disconnected from the ancient wisdom that once allowed humans to navigate life through intuition, symbols, and the subtle language of the soul. Today, we're going to rediscover this lost art. We'll explore how to recognize when the universe, or as Jung might say, when the self with a capital S, is preparing to deliver something remarkable into your life. These aren't superstitions or magical thinking. They're observations about how consciousness works, how transformation announces itself, and how we can learn to recognize the patterns that precede positive change. The foundation of understanding these signs lies in Jung's revolutionary concept of the collective unconscious and his theory about how psychological transformation actually occurs. Unlike the personal unconscious, which contains our individual memories and repressed experiences, the collective unconscious is a shared reservoir of human experience, containing what Jung called archetypes, universal patterns and themes that appear across all cultures and throughout history. When we're approaching a significant transformation, Jung believed that the unconscious begins preparing us through various channels. It's not random. The psyche has an innate drive toward wholeness, toward what Jung termed individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are meant to be. This process doesn't happen according to our ego's timeline or preferences. It unfolds according to a deeper wisdom, and it sends signals to let us know when we're ready for the next phase. Understanding this framework is essential because it shifts how we perceive the events and feelings in our lives. They're not just random occurrences or chemical reactions in our brains. They're meaningful communications from the deepest parts of ourselves, guiding us toward growth, healing, and fulfillment. Now, let's explore the specific indicators that reveal when something positive is approaching your life. Sign number 1, sudden illumination and mental transparency. The first powerful indicator that transformation is approaching manifests as unexpected moments when everything suddenly becomes clear. You might be going about your ordinary day when suddenly, without warning, understanding floods through you. It's as if a fog you didn't even know was there suddenly lifts, and you can see your situation, your relationships, or your life path with stunning clarity. These aren't the results of logical analysis or careful reasoning. They arrive fully formed like gifts from somewhere beyond your conscious thinking. You might suddenly understand why a relationship ended, what your true calling is, or how to solve a problem that has plagued you for months or years. Jung observed that these breakthrough moments occur when the conscious ego becomes receptive to information from the unconscious. Throughout our lives, the unconscious is constantly processing information, making connections, and working on solutions. But the conscious mind, busy with its daily concerns and defenses, often blocks this wisdom from emerging. When clarity suddenly breaks through, it signals that your psyche has reached a critical point. The answer or insight has been forming beneath conscious awareness, and now the timing is right for it to emerge. This timing is never accidental. It appears precisely when you're ready to receive and act upon it. These moments of illumination often arrive during transitions, perhaps during a walk in nature, in the quiet moments before sleep, during meditation, or even in the shower. They come when the ego relaxes its grip slightly, creating an opening for deeper wisdom to surface. What makes these moments significant as signs of positive change is not just the clarity itself, but what it represents. It means your psyche is reorganizing itself. Old patterns are dissolving and new understanding is emerging. The unconscious has been working behind the scenes and now it's ready to reveal what it has discovered. Pay close attention when these moments arrive. They're not just random insights, they're communications from your deeper self, preparing you for the positive shifts that are already in motion. The clarity comes first, creating the internal foundation for the external changes that will follow. Jung emphasized that these realizations often feel paradoxical. Something that seemed impossibly complex suddenly appears simple. A decision that felt overwhelming becomes obvious. This is the hallmark of genuine unconscious insight. It bypasses the labyrinth of conscious overthinking and delivers truth directly. When you experience this kind of clarity, it's confirmation that you're in alignment with your authentic path. The unconscious only reveals these insights when you're truly ready to integrate them and act upon them. Trust these moments completely. They're not illusions or false hopes. They're the psyche's way of preparing you for the beautiful unfolding that's about to begin. Sign number 2. Meaningful coincidences and sacred timing. Second profound indicator appears through what Jung termed synchronicity, one of his most fascinating and controversial contributions to psychology. Synchronicity refers to meaningful coincidences, where events in the external world mirror or correspond to your internal psychological state in ways that seem far too perfect to be mere chance. Perhaps you've been contemplating a major decision when suddenly a book falls off a shelf, opening to exactly the page that addresses your concern. Or you're thinking about someone you haven't spoken to in years and within minutes they call you. You might be struggling with a question when a stranger's overheard conversation provides the exact answer you needed. These experiences happen to everyone, but most people dismiss them as random chance. Jung argued something radically different. These events represent moments when the boundary between inner and outer, between psyche and matter, becomes permeable. They occur when you're in deep alignment with the archetypal patterns of transformation. Synchronicities multiply when you're approaching a significant positive shift in your life. It's as though the universe itself is conspiring to support your evolution. The right people appear at the right time. Resources you need become available just when you need them. Opportunities emerge from unexpected directions. What makes synchronicity different from ordinary coincidence is the feeling of meaningfulness that accompanies it. When a synchronistic event occurs, you feel it in your body. There's often a sense of wonder, a tingling recognition that something profound has just happened. You know without logical proof that this event carries significance. Jung spent decades studying these phenomena and concluded that they reveal something fundamental about the nature of reality. The unconscious mind is not confined to your skull. It connects to a larger field of consciousness and meaning. When you're in the process of becoming more aligned with your authentic self, this connection strengthens and synchronicities increase. From a practical standpoint, the appearance of synchronicities tells you that you're in the flow. You're no longer fighting against your true nature or destiny. Instead, you're moving with the current of your own deepest purpose and reality is responding. These meaningful coincidences often cluster together. Once you notice one, you begin seeing patterns everywhere. This isn't because you're imagining things, it's because your awareness has opened to a level of reality that was always present but previously unnoticed. The key to working with synchronicity is remaining open and attentive. When unusual coincidences occur, pause and reflect. What is this event mirroring in your inner world? What message might it carry? Don't force interpretation, but allow meaning to emerge naturally. Jung believed that synchronicities are particularly common during times of psychological crisis or transformation. When the ego's control weakens, when old structures are breaking down to make way for new growth, the unconscious becomes more visible in external events. These are not signs of losing touch with reality. Quite the opposite. They're signs that you're connecting more deeply with a reality that transcends ordinary perception. When synchronicities begin appearing with frequency in your life, celebrate them. They're confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be, that the transformation you're undergoing is supported by forces larger than your individual will, and that positive change is already manifesting in your reality. Sign number 3, the wisdom voice within. The third powerful sign emerges as an intensification of your intuitive capacities. You begin experiencing what might be called knowing without knowing. understanding things without logical explanation, sensing truths about situations before evidence appears, and feeling guided by a wisdom that doesn't originate in your conscious thinking. This isn't about becoming psychic or developing supernatural abilities. It's about reconnecting with a natural human capacity that modern life has largely suppressed. Jung recognized that intuition is one of the primary psychological functions through which we perceive and interact with reality. When positive transformation approaches, your intuitive channels open more fully. You might find yourself making decisions based on feeling rather than analysis, and discovering that these decisions lead to better outcomes. You might sense things about people that later prove accurate. You might feel drawn toward certain paths without rational justification, only to discover they lead exactly where you needed to go. This heightened intuition manifests in various ways. Sometimes it's a physical sensation, a tightness in your chest when something isn't right, or a feeling of expansion when you're moving in the correct direction. Sometimes it's an inner voice, quiet but clear, offering guidance or warning. Sometimes it's simply a sense of knowing that arises fully formed, without any process of reasoning. Jung understood intuition as the unconscious mind's ability to perceive patterns and connections that the conscious mind misses. The unconscious processes vast amounts of information continuously, far more than consciousness can handle. When intuitive insights arise, they represent the unconscious sharing its findings with consciousness. The strengthening of intuition before positive change occurs makes perfect sense within Jung's framework. As you move toward greater wholeness and authenticity, the communication between conscious and unconscious becomes clearer. The ego becomes more receptive, less defensive, and more willing to receive guidance from deeper sources. Many people describe this as feeling more connected to themselves, more centered, more confident in their inner compass. You stop constantly second-guessing yourself. You trust the feelings and impressions that arise. You recognize that you have access to wisdom that transcends your limited conscious knowledge. This doesn't mean abandoning logic or rationality. Instead, it means integrating intuition with reason, allowing both to inform your decisions and perceptions. Jung advocated for the development of all psychological functions, not the dominance of any single one. When your intuition intensifies and becomes more reliable, it's a clear signal that your psyche is consolidating, becoming more integrated and whole. The unconscious is no longer hidden or threatening. It's becoming an ally and guide. This integration is precisely what creates the foundation for positive transformation. Pay attention to those subtle inner nudges. Notice when something feels right or wrong without logical explanation. Track your intuitive impressions and observe how often they prove accurate. As you validate and trust your intuition, it becomes stronger and more refined. This inner guidance system is preparing you for what's coming. It's helping you navigate toward opportunities and away from obstacles. It's the unconscious mind's way of steering you toward your highest potential. When you feel this wisdom voice growing stronger, know that you're being guided toward something beneficial, something aligned with your authentic path. Sign number 4, deep tranquility and internal harmony. The fourth and perhaps most profound sign appears as an unexpected sense of peace settling over your life. Not the peace of having everything figured out or all problems solved, but a deeper peace that comes from acceptance, alignment, and trust in the process of your life. This is radically different from the temporary calm that comes after resolving a specific problem or achieving a particular goal. This is a fundamental shift in how you relate to yourself and to existence. Anxiety decreases. The constant mental chatter quiets. You feel more present, more grounded, more accepting of what is. Jung described this state as approaching the self, the totality of the personality, conscious and unconscious integrated. When you move toward this integration, a natural peace emerges. You're no longer at war with parts of yourself. You're no longer desperately trying to control every aspect of your life. You've learned to trust the deeper intelligence guiding your journey. This peace doesn't mean passivity or resignation. Rather, it's an active acceptance that creates space for new possibilities. When you stop fighting reality, when you stop resisting what is, paradoxically, you gain more power to create positive change. The energy previously consumed by internal conflict becomes available for creativity, growth, and transformation. People experiencing this sign often describe feeling more like themselves than ever before. There's a sense of coming home to who you truly are. The masks and personas you've worn start falling away, not through force but through natural dissolution. What remains is more authentic, more genuine, more real. This internal harmony also manifests in your relationship with time. The desperate urgency to make things happen immediately softens. You develop trust in timing, recognizing that things unfold according to rhythms deeper than your conscious preferences. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or goals, but holding them with less attachment and more faith. Jung observed that this kind of peace emerges when the ego surrenders its illusory control and learns to cooperate with the self. The ego remains important. It's our conscious identity and decision-making center, but it recognizes that it's not the totality of who we are. When the ego serves the self rather than trying to be the self, peace naturally arises. This tranquility is often accompanied by a sense of being held or supported by something larger than yourself. Some people describe this as connection to God, others as alignment with the universe, others as trust in their own deeper nature. The specific language matters less than the felt experience of not being alone, of being part of a larger, meaningful whole. When this peace arrives, it's a powerful indicator that you've done significant internal work. You've faced shadows, integrated aspects of yourself that were previously rejected, and moved toward wholeness. This creates the perfect conditions for positive external change to manifest. The universe, or life, or the self, however you conceptualize it, waits for this internal alignment before delivering certain opportunities and blessings. When you're in a state of peace and acceptance, you're receptive. You can receive without desperately grasping. You can recognize and appreciate what arrives without immediately fearing its loss. Trust this peace when it comes. It's not a sign that nothing will ever challenge you again, but rather a sign that you've developed the internal resources to navigate whatever comes with grace and wisdom. It's the foundation from which your next